Capital Improvement Advisory Committee meeting to order. So first thing on our agenda is public hearing. Hold a public hearing, consider and file the semi-annual report for October 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018, evaluating the progress of the city on achieving the capital improvements program and identifying any problems in implementing the plans or administering the capital recovery fees. This item was tabled at the May 9th, 2018 meeting, so I guess first order of business is that we need a motion to pull it off the table and reopen discussion. All right, motion by Commissioner Greenwald. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All right, second by Mr. Bro. Any comments, questions? All right, call for a vote.
Aye.
I'm sorry. The subcommittee has not met
Yeah. We're on the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries 8-0. All right.
Good evening. My name is James Walters. I'm with the City of Schertz Finance Department. Last week, we tabled it after reviewing the report. There were a couple of items that did not match between the pages. We went back and made a few corrections, and I was approached yesterday by Mr. Glenn Outlaw, who also found a couple of other items in there. So tonight, I handed out another version of the report that I will go over in the presentation. And then the board will have the option of either accepting the report I handed out tonight, or because it was such on short notice, you can table it for the next meeting, and if you want more time to look over it, and that's completely understandable and not be a problem at all. I did want to walk through all the difference between the original report and the one we're looking at right now. On the top far, on the impact fees, the allocated balance, this is the funds of capital impact fees that we've allocated directly to a project. On the last report, the ending allocated impact fee balance was not updated. It got really loud all of a sudden. It did not update from the beginning to the okay. Right now, back to normal. Okay. So the ending fund balance actually didn't change between the beginning and ending, even though there was a $6,000 activity from the first report. Under the unallocated portion, the final totals were off by less than $1, a few pennies. There was a hidden cell in the report that changed totals at the bottom, so if you added up manually, they would not add up. Under the estimated cost of unfunded projects, the Woman Hauling Trunk Line did not include the new updated estimate for construction. And going back, reviewing the Corbett elevated tank also did not include the amount of updated funding that was needed as well. So both of those have been updated. The project reports, the only update to these was a clerical one. It was on the sewer page. So the current cost estimate of Town Creek Phase 3, I went ahead and changed that number to the actual, since we had an original update, original item there, original estimate, and then we had the actual below it. We already know the actual, there's no need to have the original cost estimate in the report still. So I went ahead and made that change as well. There was no change on the water side. And both the unallocated impact fee item here, that is taken directly, those numbers should be taken directly from our financial system, the simple report we run to match up. That's why those numbers were fairly accurate. estimated cost of unfunded projects was an estimate the staff puts together for information purposes only, and that's subject to change depending on what type of how much information we have at any given time. So in the process of updating, I went back and talked to the city engineer and double-check the estimates to make sure that they're up to date for this report we have. So under the allocated impact fee balance, we do have the $2,757,000 remaining, and you notice on the water report that matches to the $2,750,000 remaining on the corporate elevated tank. Those two are where that matches up. Under the sewer side, we do have a project balance here of $2,243,000, but all the funds from that were from a $3 million bond project and not allocated from impact fees. That's why the impact fee allocation was 0 on the front page. So once we assign impact fees to the project, you'll see it move out of the fund balance here in the unallocated portion. It'll go up here into the allocated portion, and then the estimated unfunded projects number would go down. That's how that would flow between the reports. The ending unallocated fund impact fee balance was $5,800,000 for water, and then just over $6 million for sewer. The only notable expenses in here for this semi-annual report, we had the auditor accounting services that took place in December through January, and then the investment management fee for the long-term investments on the sewer side. Is there any questions over the report, or would you like to open the
Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and do the public hearing. We'll open the hearing at 6:07. If anybody in the audience wishes to address any questions or comments regarding this, now's the time to do so. And seeing no one coming toward the dais, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:08. And commissioners.
I'd like to apologize for the multiple versions. I admit when I was putting it together, I was moving fairly quickly on the original, and there was a bunch of new sections to the report that was not previously connected to it before last time. So last time was the first time we went into this format. Since then, I've looked over the numbers, compared it to our financial software in more detail, and then actually put in links in the Excel document, so make sure that all the pages will line up in the future. Should be accurate, this report, and then the future reports will have fewer to no errors in between each of the 3 sections of the page.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the committee approve the Capital Recovery Impact Fee Report for October 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018 as corrected and submitted to this committee this evening.
Okay, we have a motion for approval for recommendation to council for acceptance by Mr. Outlaw. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Outlaw by Mr. Brown. Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries 8-0. And then that will be it for the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. We'll adjourn at 6:09. We'll take a moment and let Mr. Brown clear the dais, and we'll begin our planning and zoning meeting. All right, we'll call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 23rd, 2018 to order. Time is 6:10 p.m. Second item on our agenda is hearing of residents. Any residents signed up? No? All right. Seeing no one in the audience here to speak, we'll move on to the next item is consent agenda. And our consent agenda is the minutes for the May 9th, 2018 regular meeting. Commissioners, any comments or questions on the minutes? All right, do we have a motion then?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, a motion for approval by Commissioner Ray. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rowe. All right, Commissioners, we'll call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda, items for individual consideration. Item 4A, WA 2018-003. Consider and act upon a request for approval of a waiver regarding on-site sewage facilities for proposed lots 25 and 26 of the East Central Village subdivision, Unit 1B, and approximate 3 acres of land located at 6785 File Road and 6759 File Road, City of Schertz, Bear County.
Good evening, Commissioners. The waiver is associated with the replat for the East Central Village subdivision. Waiver being requested is a waiver to Unified Development Code Section 21.15.3b, which requires that all lots proposed to be developed shall be connected to a public wastewater system. Compliance with this UDC section would require extension of the sewer line from the nearest available sewer line to the subject property so that development on the proposed lots would be tied into our public wastewater system. The applicant is requesting a waiver so that rather than tying into the public wastewater system, the lots could instead install an on-site septic system for each of the lots being proposed. UDC section 21.12.15 grants your Planning and Zoning Commission the authority to grant waivers when undue hardship will result from requiring strict compliance with the various UDC sections. This is an aerial of the portion for the replat that is being proposed for the East Central Village replat application and the waiver that is associated with it. This is hard to see on the PowerPoint presentation, but it is included in your packet. The applicant's justification for the waiver request is based on the significant amount of sewer extension that would be required if they were to tie into and connect to existing public sewer. The closest connection point, I'm not sure, I don't believe this was included in the packet, but I'll walk you through this exhibit. The engineer provided this exhibit to demonstrate that the closest available sewer tie-in is for a new Martinez wastewater treatment plant, which is about 2.5 miles away from the subject site off of beyond File Road. So this is the overall Sarah's capital improvement plan, and the site on this exhibit, and I'll bring my cursor to it, this is the project site right here. And the nearest available tie-in is down here, and this rectangle portion is the zoomed-in version on the bottom right-hand side here. But in essence, the engineer had submitted documentation that the closest tie-in point is about 2.5 miles away, and that the estimated cost for sewer extension and connection to the nearest tie-in point would be over $1 million. Engineering has reviewed the waiver request and provided a memo indicating that engineering supports granting the waiver associated with the replat application, and staff recommends approval. And we have a representative here for the requested waiver as well.
Does the applicant have any comments he wishes to make? All right, commissioners, comments, questions?
So just for the record, if they get there on site, this is planned so that they can connect should our systems get out that far?
So the waiver, should your commission grant the waiver, it is to not require that they currently tie into sewer because of the significant amount of sewer line improvements that would be required. It's about 2.5 miles. So then it would allow for the applicant to put an on-site septic system for future development of the lots.
But under state law, if they got a line or a pickup line within so many feet of your house, you had to tie in.
So in our code, we do have a certain threshold, and I don't have the number off the top of my head, but if there is sewer tie-in availability within a certain distance from the proposed plat, then as engineering does the review of the waiver, if it's close enough where they could tie in, we would require that they tie into an existing sewer line. But in this particular case, there is
I
no
realize
sewer, right.
under the current situation, they're 2.5 miles of them. I wouldn't be asking them to put in sewer lines. The city can't afford that.
Mr. Chairman, I think what Commissioner Ray was getting at was in the future.
Yeah.
And I believe there are provisions in the city codes and ordinances that while they may not have to connect immediately, they're limited as to once public sewer is available, then there's a limit as to how much they can improve or repair. So there are provisions out there that eventually, if public sewer is available, these lots would be connected to it. I think, am I correct?
Yes.
All right, do we have any other questions? All right, call for a motion.
Chairman, make a motion we approve WA 2018-03 waiver on-site sewage facility associated with PC 2018-016.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Greenwald. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who was
Comment before you call for the vote. We're working item 4A.
Yes.
It's WA 2018-003.
What did I say?
You said PC.
PC.
You were,
2018,
Sorry about that.
that's the next item on our agenda.
Yeah.
okay?
All right, so we'll amend that to motion to be WA 2018-003. And the second was by Commissioner Ray, correct?
Okay.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda is public hearing. Item 5A, PC 2018-016, hold a public hearing, consider an act upon a request for approval of a replat of Lot 5, Block 1 of the East Central Village Unit 1B subdivision in order to create 2 lots. The project consists of approximately 3 acres of land located at 6785 Fowle Road and 6759 Fowle Road, City of Schertz, Bear County.
So the applicant is proposing to replat an existing lot that is part of the East Central Village subdivision. The proposal is to replat the existing Lot 5 and split it into 2 buildable lots. The subject property is located about 2,000 feet south of the intersection of File Road and Ware Seguin Road. The subject property is zoned single-family residential agricultural district. That's the RA district, and it is located within the APZ2 zone. Currently, there is an existing single-family residence on the portion of the site that is proposed as Lot 25, and the remainder of the site is undeveloped. Since this replat is for a residential subdivision, it requires publication in a newspaper and mail out of notices to all owners of lots in the original subdivision that are within 200 feet of the lots being replatted. The public hearing notice was published in the San Antonio Express on May 2nd, 2018, and written public hearing notices were mailed out to 10 properties. We have received one response in favor of the replat. Both proposed lots are designed to have direct access off File Road. And on this exhibit here, this is File Road. You'll notice to the left-hand side, this is the existing lot, which is Lot 5 of the East Central Village subdivision, and the proposal is to split it to create, this is proposed Lot 25 and proposed Lot 26. And earlier I had mentioned that there's an existing single-family residence, and that's on the smaller proposed Lot 25, which is about a little, just a little over 1 acre. The applicant is responsible for complying with the city's tree mitigation and preservation requirements. A tree affidavit was submitted indicating that any protected or heritage class trees on site will not be destroyed or removed. No parkland is being proposed with this subdivision, so a fee in lieu of parkland dedication will be required for the new lot, one of the new lots being created, and that will be due prior to recording of the plat. The site is serviced by City of Schertz for water, CPS for electricity, Charter Communications, and AT&T for telecommunications and internet. Excuse me. This site is within the dual service area of Schertz, City of Schertz and Sarah, San Antonio River Authority. However, since the waiver was granted, it will then allow for on-site septic for future development of these two lots. No public improvements are required for this subdivision. There is an existing 8-inch water line that runs along File Road that the properties could tie to for future development. Earlier, your commission just granted a waiver to allow for on-site septic because the waiver then does not require sewer line extension or connection. For drainage, the applicant's stormwater management plan was reviewed and approved by our engineering department. Sidewalks along File Road are required and would need to be installed with future development of the lots. No right-of-way dedications or improvements are required along File Road, and the proposed replat in staff's evaluation has been determined to be consistent with all applicable requirements for the property, and staff recommends approval. And we have, again, a representative here for the project.
All right, and this is a public hearing, so we're open the public hearing at 6:24. Anyone has any comments regarding this topic, please make your way to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and sing. Yes, watch out for the stampede. All right, we'll close the public hearing at 6:25. Commissioners.
On your exhibits, go back one or two, if you could. Why does it show 3 lots on this one? Or is that 3 lots?
Okay, so it's broken up into 3 different property IDs according to the county's parcel ID records, but on record it's one existing lot.
Okay.
Sure. So, and I'll let Mr. Bledsoe cut in as need be. So when we evaluated this, and Sam came to me at first, the former property owner, the lot legally exists as a platted 1 lot. The former property owner, before either of the 2 people who currently own the 3 since illegally subdivided lots, the former property owner divided the 3-acre lot into 3 1-acre lots by meets and bounds recorded deeds for it, so on and so forth. And so what we're doing here this evening is, in order to truly make what the applicant is looking to do, which is to take 2 of the 1 acre tracts, combine them into a 2 acre homestead and then build a home on it, and then leave the single 1 acre tract that has the existing home on it. In order to do that, we have to actually process it as a replat to clean the title up and do it the correct way. And so that's why it exists as 3 parcels in the county database that have 2 of them are owned by one person, 1 is owned by a separate person. But both of those parties have entered into this plat application to clean it up so that we would have a correctly replatted lot and have clean title on this, which is what they'll need in order to pull a building permit.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one that I have not seen before. It appears to me that electrical access to either lot 26 or 25 is from the property next door to it. Is that correct?
So the easements have been reviewed by all of the appropriate utility companies. In this case, I believe it is CPS in Southern Schertz, and they have listed the easements that are needed for this. I'm not exactly sure where the electric is located on File Road, other than there is obviously electric because we have a bunch of homes out there in platted subdivisions.
Well, we show around these 2 lots, we show a 14-foot easement inside the lots, EGT, CAV, cable, and so forth. Nothing down the center dividing the 2 lots. And then we show an electrical easement on the outside of the property lines on either side and none in the front. So one's assuming that I'm going to get my electricity brought down the lot next door.
That's true. The 2 acre tract will get his service from the lot next door. There's a line that comes down through there. The 1 acre tract has existing service from the lot behind him right now. And so CPS typically asks for an easement in the front, which we gave them, and then we added an easement along the side because that's the way these properties are being served. The service lines go all over the place out there, and they go, in between lots. It's not typically like they usually do. So we added easements in there to cover what's going on now, plus future easements that CPS always wants.
All right. So 26 is getting it from behind?
No, 26 will get it from the side.
Okay, from the side. It's
25.
25, it's getting it from behind?
From behind, right. It comes from lot 19.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Thank you.
Everybody's getting service. It just comes from different places.
I guess one question I have, you said there's an existing single-family home on lot 25?
Yes, there is. It's been there since the 40s.
Right, okay, and it's showing that the lot width is 85 feet. Does this replat conform to the setback requirements for the zoning?
Yes, it does. The RA zone, when you look at the table, it actually does not have minimum lot width or lot depth requirements.
Okay. I guess for me, if the final question on this is, with this property being in APZ2, you want to touch on that?
Sure. So it is within the APZ2. However, this is not a zoning item. And so per our code, there is no requirement, there's no ability for us to enforce either the 2015 JLU study or the 2017 AQ study in regards to this. The nice part about it is very low in APZ2, and let me see, I don't have the one further zoomed out, but if y'all are familiar with file, as you go down south this way, maybe another quarter mile, you hit 10. Up here is the intersection of where Seguin and File as well. So it is situated very far south and actually relatively close to the split between the parcels. However, there are no requirements to date until the city adopts whatever requirements that we may adopt in the future regarding the APZ zones and the ACUS study as well. So if it was a zoning item, it would have to go to Randolph. Randolph would have to provide a affirmative response to it in order for us to even take it to you and then take it to City Council per our Unified Development Code. But because of that, we don't have any ability to enforce any of those rules and restrictions. So this is kind of where we're at today. It does conform with all of the plating requirements.
A follow-up question to that. Some months back, we addressed when the reports came out at Randolph, we addressed the issues of lot sizes and what we were going to try to look for in the future. But to my knowledge, that section of the UDC has not been changed.
That is correct, and that's actually a continuing, ongoing conversation that Acting City Manager Brian James has been having with the residents in that community for Southern Schertz, and I believe he's got some updates that will be going to council in the next several weeks. I don't want to speak to the specific timing because I don't know, but it is not something that has dropped off the radar. We are still actively working on it to work through the existing residents and property owners' needs and interests, as well as compliance with what the base needs as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll call for a vote. Oh, I'm sorry, call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion the council approve PC 2018-0016, a request to replat Lot 5, Block 1 of East Central Village.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bro. Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. All right, next item on the agenda, requests and announcements. Request by commissioners to place items on a future planning and zoning agenda. Commissioners, do you have anything? No? All right, requests and announcements. Announcements by commissioners, city and community events attended, and continuing education events attended. Anybody? All
I
right.
would like to have this commission ask the city for a study of the water system. It's put out by inspection of the water system. Same thing we had over at CCMA. Anyway, it's at no cost to the city. They will come in, inspect everything, and give you some recommendations, if required, as to protections against.
It's the Homeland Security does an evaluation of the cyber risks of the automated systems of water and wastewater.
You got that, Bryce? All right.
Thank you.
All right, announcements by city staff.
A couple items, and we'll go through the new site plan applications. I would like to let everyone know that we do have next Tuesday, the 29th, a City Council on the Go meeting, which is a town hall style meeting. It will be held at the Wilder Intermediate on Savannah. It begins at 6:30. From 6:30 to 7, there's a meet and greet for residents to come in, visit with various departments at their tables, ask questions, and then the meeting will start at 7 o'clock. There's a few presentations, and then it opens up to some question and answer. Additionally, commissioners, you will notice that you have copies of the CCAB summaries. I didn't remember where we left off, so I kind of sent you everything that we had for the last several months. We'll make sure to keep it on the agenda so that I know which ones you get, and keep that going out to keep you informed of what the other boards and commissions are doing each month. Additionally, the financial report is in your packet, as well as all administratively approved plats in the first quarter. There were only 5, so if you have any questions about those, please feel free to grab a staff member after the meeting and we can visit with you about that. And then finally, we have 1 new site plan applications. It is, and I will do my best to not butcher this, the Fresenius Medical Care Facility, which is located here on 3009, or is proposed to be. This is the property that was recently rezoned a little over a month ago. And they are proposing a medical office building. It's a 1.5 acre site, and the medical office is proposed to be at about just under 11,000 square feet, 10,700. And they also have submitted, in addition to a site plan, a preliminary plat, so the platting process will come back before the commission here in the next couple months, I'm sure. So with that, staff has no additional announcements.
Has anybody from your office gone out and looked at this yet?
At the actual site, we have been by.
It's not a discussion item either.
I know. I'm just curious.
All right, commissioners, does anybody have anything else? All right, and meeting adjourned at 6:38.